Let's recap a half PPR mock draft in 5 minutes right now on Fantasy Football Today in 5. I'm Adam Azer on a late Sunday night with Jamie Eisenberg taking a look. Well, at least one of us is taking a look at mock draft. The other one can't see because he doesn't have his glasses on. Very, very funny stuff here. But Jamie, we get this half PPR draft, 12 teams, 3 wide receivers, and the first round dominated by running backs basically. But you do have Travis Kelce and 3 wide receivers in there, and you think that maybe other than Kamara at 12 because facing that suspension, but you think this is basically what a first round is going to look like?
Yeah, if you take out Kamara, probably the most likely, but any of the other running backs per se, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, the 2 most likely candidates to creep into the first round from the wide receiver position of the non-3 of Kupp, Jefferson, and Chase, and then you have maybe in half or full PPR, DeAndre Swift, maybe Nick Chubb. There's going to be some other candidates that'll be in the conversation. But I think this is kind of what the first round is. 8 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. And it's the usual suspects. You can certainly see the story of the draft recap on the site, and we'll talk about it in the full-length podcast. But the first round is really starting to take shape. It's just a matter of where they go. And in this draft was a little strange with who went first overall.
Yeah, it was McCaffrey first overall to Chris, who loves Christian McCaffrey. We all love Christian McCaffrey, but Chris is pretty steadfast taking him number 1. In a half PPR league, would you have taken McCaffrey number 1? You took Taylor too.
I mean, I don't have him ranked 1 in PPR, so I would still go with Taylor. Just from the safety factor of the non-injury concern. But McCaffrey's still a top 3 running back for me, top 3 overall player for me. So I'm not gonna critique Chris's selection of him because, as we said when we were going over the top 5 running backs, there's no one with the ceiling that McCaffrey has at that position. If he's healthy and plays the majority of the year, he's going to be the number 1 running back.
Okay, so your team is really interesting because this was half PPR, yet you still went with the hero RB approach. Jonathan Taylor in round 1, and then with your swing picks, you didn't have the swing pick, but close enough. Mike Evans with the 11th pick of round 2, A.J. Brown with the 3rd pick of round 3, and then late round 4, beginning of round 5, you went Darren Waller, Terry McLaurin. So you did not take your second running back until Kareem Hunt, 71st overall, late round 6. You did not take your third running back, James Cook, until late round 8. So you loaded up at the other positions, specifically wide receiver, and you have tight end. You comfortable with that in this format?
Yeah, very much so. And when you'll reveal the other running backs that I took, obviously I went heavy at that position, after starting this way. And so it was really a matter of, once I made the choice to go with Evans and A.J. Brown, I don't want to say I was committed to anything, but those were the 2 best players on the board for me. They're both second-round picks for me in this format, really in any format. So I was fine with those 2 guys. And then when I got to the Waller-McLaurin turn, it really wasn't a scenario of did I want to take any of those running backs there. And I believe the ones that were on the board that made the most sense were A.J. Dillon and Miles Sanders, and it just felt too soon to take them at the 4-5 turn. If I was later in the 5th round, if they had come back to me, obviously in the 6th round, I didn't expect that to happen. But it just wasn't the point where I was going to take those guys over filling out other starters at other positions. Waller, to me, is still, going to be a high-end player at a thin position. And assuming that Terry McLaurin shows up for training camp, certainly by week 1, I still think he's going to be a top 20 caliber wide receiver. So I have 3 receivers in a 3-receiver league all set. I have the tight end set. I have my 1 running back set. And so now I felt pretty good about the way this team was starting.
All right, and your bench is mostly running back. So Kareem Hunt and Jonathan Taylor are your starters. And then on the bench, James Cook, Deontay Foreman, Kenneth Gainwell, Alexander Madison, Rashad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jacoby Myers, 1 wide receiver. Your starting lineup has A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Allen Lazard at flex, and Darren Waller plus Matthew Stafford at quarterback. And we're basically at 5 minutes here, so I'm just going to do a quick scan. I'm going to pick one random pick. The first pick of round 6 was Gabriel Davis. He went after Amari Cooper and Rashad Bateman and just ahead of Michael Thomas and Juju Smith-Schuster. What do you think about that area of wide receiver, basically? Amari Cooper, Bateman, Gabriel Davis, Michael Thomas, Juju Smith-Schuster. That's, Jerry Jeudy right after that. Late round 5 into round 6.
It's the sweet spot for getting, some high upside wide receivers. Davis probably should not go ahead of those guys unless you really have that sort of a strong feeling he's going to be that great, which I hope he is. But I would have taken a couple other those guys ahead of him. But again, if you're picking at the ends, as I was, and we've all experienced this, if you want to get a guy, you're not going to get him coming back to you. Make sure you get the guy that you like. And so I don't remember which fantasy manager took Davis, but that's the type of player that could certainly swing the outcome of your fantasy season. And if you want to have that guy on your team, it's not a bad move to me.
That is Jamie. I am Adam. Thank you so much for watching and listening, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today in 5.